Hi guys, welcome back to our demo on painting kitchen cabinets. We went over last week on doing the plantation style chairs, and this week we are doing kitchen cabinets. So we have a cabinet here that is has been cleaned and is ready to be painted. We have one that has one coat of paint on it, and then we have one here that is going to be distressed and waxed, so you can kind of see the whole process as we're going through this. Just like last week with the plantation chairs, we cleaned them prior to starting the demo. We're using the crud cutter. You're going to want to clean it very well because with kitchen cabinets, you get a lot of grease, you get residue, you get dust. It's a hot spot for just all kinds of dirt and grease and anything for them to go in there. So when you clean it, you're going to want to use a good degreaser, and then you're going to want to wipe it down with water afterwards and make sure it's completely dry before you start the process of putting the paint on. So I have Beth started. If you have any questions while we're doing the demo, feel free to type it out. We have Scott who's going to read them off so we can answer your questions in live time. If you post anything after the video, we'll be answering them on the page for the video. So we'll go ahead and get started. And today we're using the original color, the Annie Sloan paint, which again, you can get this at the store or when we reopen for being able to go in, or you can get this online. You can post to the Facebook page, and we are doing deliveries. So this again is the original. So we're going to use this. And what size brush are we using again? Small. So this is the small. So this is an 8. Okay, so this is an 8. I'll go ahead and
Good. Load your brush with paint.
Okay, so we're loading the brush with paint. And when you're painting with the Annie Sloan chalk paint, you're going to want to go in different directions. With the cabinets, it looks like more of just a up, down, okay, and sideways, just getting into every little nook and cranny. If you missed the demo last week, we went into with the brushes that we sell. It's a natural hair brush, and it does get into all those small, tight spaces.
Like right here.
Yep. So you can kind of see she's using a little bit of almost like a dabbing motion with the brush to be able to get into those tight spots in the corner. You're not going to want to do a heavy amount for that first coat. You can see that she's just using a little. Another technique, if you missed the demo last week, is when you're dipping your brush into the paint, you don't want to drag it along the edge. You kind of just do a little spin. You see how she does her wrist like that. And just to give everyone a little timeline on what's going on this weekend, if you stop or if you jump on to Facebook, onto the Facebook page, you will see it Saturday at 4 o'clock. We're doing a live sale. So please feel free to stop in the page, because obviously we're still quarantined, but stop in the page and see what we have, and tell your friends and share this so that they know that we're doing a live sale Saturday at 4. And right now we are doing the contactless delivery. So anything that you purchase on Saturday through the live sale will be delivered for you.
Including furniture.
Oh yes, including furniture.
Okay.
We deliver it all. Paint, furniture, brushes, you name it.
Yeah. I'm going to use the nylon brush.
Okay. So for the nylon brush.
With a little bit of paint, we're going to go real soft to kind of make a smooth thing.
Okay. So now she's using the nylon brush with a real soft hand, doing medium brush strokes to give it a softer finish. And it is a real light hand that she's using. I don't know how well you can tell through the video, but it's very light.
I'm feathering the paint.
Okay. And it seems that just a small amount really goes a long way.
And there's still paint laying on here too. It's still wet. So.
Okay, because of it being wet, there's still some on there that she's able to smooth
That's
out.
so much in here.
And it smooths it out very nicely.
But if you want the brush stroke, you'll have to do this stuff.
Okay, so if you're looking for a little more rustic with the brush stroke, you're gonna bypass this step with the nylon brush. So you can see it covered it very quickly, very easily.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so now we're gonna go over to the one cabinet that we have here that had one coat on it already. So we're gonna be putting a second coat onto this cabinet.
When you're doing cabinets, you want to take the doors off.
So
All the hardware.
okay, so when you are doing your kitchen cabinets, you're going to want to take your doors off. You're going to want to remove the hardware. And again, you're going to want to make sure they are very clean before you start the process. It's key to keeping that paint on the cabinets.
And then you're going to want to paint the front and the back of the doors.
Okay, and so Beth is saying that when you are doing your kitchen cabinet doors, you're going to want to paint the front and the back.
And then also the box,
And the box.
not the inside of the cabinet.
Okay, so you're not going to do the inside of the cabinets.
Unless you want to.
Unless it's personal preference. Yeah, it's a personal preference. You can do it. But now, would you recommend doing maybe like the first inch or so inside the box, or are you just doing the front? If you're not doing the inside, if you're just doing the outside.
Depends on the cabinet.
Okay.
I know when I do hutches, if there's a band with the joystick, I do it with the joystick in kitchen cabinets, it's typically
On the outside.
on the outside.
Okay. So basically, if there is a band, you can choose to do the band where you don't have to go all the way inside. She was just mentioning that if she were to do a hutch where the doors are going to sit closer inside the hutch, then she would do the band along that area, but again, not the full inside of the hutch, unless, of course, that's part of the plan or if you want to. Now, when you're doing the second coat, are you going to also go over it with the nylon brush?
I
Because it
think
doesn't look like it almost looks like a smoother finish.
Right, and I'm doing that now
Okay.
with this brush. So.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to use this brush, you can use the whole thing in nylon.
Okay. So you don't have to use the natural hair brush. You can use the whole thing in nylon.
Actually, let me
Okay.
switch here. And just go. You don't want a lot of paint.
Yeah. So just a light amount of paint. And you can almost tell where you're getting almost that same brush stroke and result from the natural hair as the nylon with that second
Because
coat
I'm
at
using
least.
such a light touch.
Okay. Definitely makes a difference having that light touch.
And the amount of paint.
So, in just your professional experience, would a can about this size work for, say, what your typical size kitchen, small? No, so you're going to want more.
And depending, this cabinet was white,
Okay.
so it's going to take a lot less coats. If it that doesn't take, I would take 3 or 4 coats.
Okay. So
So-
it's gonna depend on what color you're painting and what color the cabinets were originally as to how much paint you're going to use because of how many coats you may have to put on. Do you ever recommend doing a primer coat if you're doing, say we were going with like a nice graphite or like a country gray? Would you do a primer coat if it were originally the dark color like this cabinet right here was?
Not because if we're going to go white, I would do a primer. I would do a coat of country gray and do a white of Paris gray.
Okay. All right, so, and we were actually talking about this earlier. So if you're doing a white color over something that is originally dark, using a Paris gray or country gray as a primer is a really excellent way to cut down on how many coats you're going to do of the white once you get painting that, that end color you're looking for.
Okay.
I'm going to grab, Scott, do you have that other camera that we can do a close-up on the cabinet? Okay, I'm going to let you have a view as to, or bird's eye view, so to speak. Okay, so here we go. And you can kind of see where she used the light touch to get a smoother finish. And then this is what one coat. All right.
This is over.
Yep. Over. Enough room.
Okay.
All right. So now we're going to move on to distressing and waxing.
And this was the oak cabinet.
Okay.
It has 3 coats.
So with the oak cabinet, she put 3 coats. Okay, so you can see the original on the backside. Normally she would have painted the backside, but we're just doing using this for demo purpose only.
Yes, I hang on the wall in the store.
Okay, and it's going to hang on the wall. That's great.
I know. I tear my sandpaper in small, just 2x2 pieces. Put my finger behind it. My finger is where the pressure comes from.
Okay.
As I distress.
Okay. So here she's using a small piece that she's
It's more control.
okay, so she's torn up what would be a larger piece. Now, is this what red sandpaper are we using?
This is 120.
120. So she's to control the pressure and the direction and what area she's covering for. She's going along with the demo for the plantation chairs. Edges are going to be naturally worn down over time. So down look, we also don't have to worry about it wearing down in the future. So she's hitting the edges here, and it's just looks like you're using like about a medium to like a medium pressure, I guess, when you're doing this.
Yeah, I think you're hard to get off.
Okay, so a little harder because the paint's a little harder to get off. And again, this is 3 coats of paint that you're going through. Now,
the paint is very hard, so.
okay, so all right, that's good to know. So the paint's really hard. If you had started with a country or Paris gray and you wanted to let some of that gray come through, you're going to just sand down to where you would see that.
Actually, when you sand it, gray is good because the heaviest pressure is in the middle. So either side of it, you'll get some of the color.
Okay, so what Beth is saying here is that when you're distressing it, in the middle is where you're going to get the heaviest, and so on either side you're going to get a little bit of that gray color on either side of the edge there. So now you're doing just on the inside of the, what is that, a double? Yeah. And she's just alternating using her finger and her thumb for direction. And again, so this looks like it has 2 inlays. And she's just hitting along those as are being sanded and distressed. It's also hitting along at the top. So when she's done with this, I'll grab the camera again so that you can get a view, a bird's eye view of how this is turning out. Oh, here we go. Thank you.
because it is hard to ink pressure. What that would do, if you would go 2 times, that's what would see more that is red coming through.
Okay. And that's called ink pressure?
No, red pressure.
Oh,
Hard
okay.
to ink off.
So just a light pressure
Just
here.
wiping the paper across.
Alright. So right here she's just wiping the paper across really, really, really light pressure. That way you would get the other color to come through. In this case it's going to be the oak, the original oak.
And you can distress as much or as little as you want.
So it's just personal preference on how much you're distressing.
I would like distress it. And with white, I like to go over everything, even though they come through. It's just easy to have to paint.
Okay, so with the white, she is going over every area, even if she isn't going down to the original. It is evening out the paint, or smoothing it out, I guess. So again, it's just going to depend on what type of pressure you're using.
And I'm using a lot of pressure here, but because I got all my fingers and going flat, it's not taking that much paint off.
Okay, because it's distributed, the weight, the pressure is distributed more evenly.
You can see where your paint was thinner up through here.
Yes, the paint thinner.
It kind of, it blends it all together and you get some.
If anyone has any recommendations on a piece they'd like to see us paint and distress,
Or a technique that
or a technique that you would like to learn, feel free to send us a message. You can reply or respond to any of our videos, or you can send a direct message through Facebook. We are open to suggestions. We're going to try to do these every week. That way we can continue the learning process apart from when the stores reopen, and Beth actually does have classes in the store where you can come in and she'll teach you in person, and you can bring your piece of furniture you want to work on.
yeah. It makes it back to those days.
I know. We're all missing those days, yes. And they're a lot of fun. And also, if you have a certain color you'd like to see us do, you can feel free to comment on that. Again, there are over 38 colors that we offer in the store. Oh, excuse me, over 40, because we were talking about this last week. So it is over 40 Annie Sloan colors. So here, really quick, you'll notice that she's using the brush. And this is actually, again, it's another Annie Sloan natural hair brush. But she's using this to just get the dust and the residue off from where she sanded, because once we put the wax on, again, we're going to want to have a clean surface to work on. So we have over 40 different colors of the Annie Sloan paint. There are 4 different waxes.
All paints are natural pigment, so it's easy to mix.
Okay, and so all the Annie Sloan paints are natural pigment. It's going to be easy to mix. We went over this last week in our demo. So if you didn't catch the video last week, go ahead and jump on our Facebook page and take a look at the plantation chairs that we painted and waxed, and we're in distress and wax. But it's going to go into how Beth has mixed many different colors. They mix well. You can customize whatever color you want for the piece that you are looking for. If you have questions on how to do it, Beth can help you in mixing that and getting the desired color that you're looking for.
And maybe we'll do a demo on that.
So that's a good idea. Yeah, we can do a demo on how to mix paint. That way you're not, if there, for some reason you can't find the color you're looking for in the 40 colors, we can get that narrowed down for you.
And I have done that.
looks really nice. It really smoothed it out.
And there's still gonna be some dust on heads on it.
So right now she is using the clear wax. This is the Annie Sloan clear wax. It does come full size.
That's a fun time.
It's small.
And kitchen cabinets require 2 to 3 coats of wax.
2 to 3 coats of wax. And it's still going to be that 2-week cure time. Okay. It'll dry, but it's going to take 2 weeks to actually cure.
Now I would actually wait 24 to 48 hours between wax coats.
Okay. 48 hours between.
Yeah, that probably be enough time. It'll start to cure. And then anything that you take into you never put harsh chemicals on it to clean it.
Okay. So you want to bypass any harsh chemicals when you're cleaning the
Mild soap and
mild
water.
soap and water.
Okay,
Is what you want to use once you've used the Annie Sloan paint.
And it went right off with the wax.
Okay.
But if you
Can you show us how much wax you're putting on there? Just so, okay, so,
load it up.
okay, so load her up. And she's doing the same brush strokes for this piece with the wax. So she's just going up and down and then, back and forth. She's getting into corners there. So you want to do a good cover. She's going to do the sides along the edges.
Then you can see the wax laying on top.
So,
I mean, it only takes as much
yes, you
wax.
can't see the wax, okay.
It's only going to take as much wax as it wants, and it gives it that.
Okay, so when you're waxing, the piece is actually going to take as much wax as it wants, and then it'll give back when it's not using. So again, I don't know if we can get, you can kind of see there, you can see the wax sitting on top. That's what it doesn't want. So now she's going to go over with a clean rag, a
Lint-free. And
lint-free.
I use old bed sheets.
old bed sheet. Okay, so
Right.
something with old, like an old cut up bed sheet.
Take them and tear them up. And
Tear them up. There you go. And she's going to start polishing that down. And she's removing the excess wax.
I
that
mean,
it didn't
I'm
want
not
to take.
working hard. I mean, you just wipe it off.
So just wipe it off. It's not like when you're waxing your car where you're buffing it real, real hard there. You're just wiping that off. Okay.
And when you're all finished waxing, and you have all your coats on, after about 24 hours, that's when the bucket.
Okay.
Bring the steam out.
All right. So once you have all the coats on, so again, you're going to want to wait about 48 hours in between the coats of wax. You recommended doing 3 coats of wax, 2 to 3 coats of wax. Then again, another 24 hours after the last coat, that's when you can go back and buff it to get that.
You don't have to, but you can.
Okay.
It's personal preference. And again, you're taking your clear cloth and just wiping over it. Because you take your elbow muscle.
Okay. So just using a clean cloth to wipe over it, and not a lot of elbow muscle, or a lot of muscle rather, to get it to that point. So again, she's just wiping down the residual wax that was on there, making sure it's got been fully covered. And in case you missed it on our last demo, we spoke about how these are low odor products. You don't, the paint does not smell. I don't smell
It's
it.
no VOC or no, which is why I can nail it.
Okay.
It can go to a postal service.
So it can go through the postal service because of the fact that it's a low VOC. That's great.
And your wax is too down. They changed the formula this year, so it's more environmentally friendly and it's not.
That's really good. So it's very environmentally friendly then. Yeah, because I mean, you don't smell it. You don't have that overwhelming smell, which means your whole kitchen is in the smell.
So this is my sandpaper.
Okay.
After I get all this distressing. It's pretty clean.
It is clean.
I'm going to take a new piece so I can show you what happens when you
So now she's doing distressing this one edge after it's been waxed, because we're going to show you how you can do it either before or after waxing.
and this is my sandpaper.
Oh wow, so you're going to get a lot more use out of the sandpaper if you're distressing before you wax.
But it's messier because it's very dusty before. It's not as messy because you get a lot more sandpaper.
Okay.
I don't like messy sandpaper.
Now, do you have to wax again once you, okay, so then we're just going to take our wax brush, we're going to do one more, and then we're going to like that, and that's it.
And for some reason, you get fuzzies in there. I don't like it does that. A little bit of sandpaper.
So this was a really good example of if you were to get, say, some piece of dust, fuzz, dog hair, a bristle from a brush, whatever the case, if you find something that gets into the paint, what you can do is you can take the sandpaper and very, very gently just wipe at it, and it's going to bring that right
And you
out.
can do that tomorrow. I mean, it doesn't have to be done today.
So you can do it if you don't notice it for a day or two or a week or whatever.
If you do it tomorrow or week from now, if you look at wax, you roll it and you're done.
Okay, so again, just go over that with a little bit of wax once you're done. This looks great, and this is the finished product. That looks really good. Alright.
And then you put the hardware back on and hang them up.
So now, as far as letting it cure for about 2 weeks, is that how long you're going to want to wait to do the hardware, or is it okay to put it up there?
You put the hardware on.
So once you've waited maybe, 24 hours since the last wax coat?
I would probably do that and then hang them.
Okay, so then you're going to want to wait about 24 hours or so from the last wax coat. Then you can put your hardware back on and hang them. And again, then it's going to take about the 2 weeks to cure. But you can buff it after that 24-hour mark or so from the last wax coat.
And then your other thing.
So, Jody asked, it's safe to say that after waxing, if you see something that needs a little more stressing.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, you can always distress more. If you over distress, I would take real fine grit sandpaper and go over it and try to get some of your wax off, and then touch up the spot, let it dry, re-distress how you want it, put some wax on, and it'll blend right in.
Okay, so Beth is saying that there's a spot where you say you over distressed it, you'll want to take your wax paper, clear a little bit around that spot.
Sandpaper,
Or
not
not wax paper, sandpaper, clear a little bit around that spot. You can reapply the paint, let it dry. You can distress it to how you actually desire it to be, and then add wax, and that's going to go ahead and... So really it's foolproof. So if you do it too much or too little, you can still correct it.
If you have kids and it's nicked up, and it will, and it's not heavily distressed, if it's heavily distressed like this, I would take sandpaper and then sand the nick and make it blend in and put some wax on. That can be a real after effect,
Yeah.
and you'll never know. Or if it's not heavily distressed, if it was like this and it got chipped, you take a little bit of sandpaper, fine sandpaper, rough it up, get your can paint out that you have to paint it with, and a small brush, and touch up the area. And it might take 2 coats depending on
And how far you have to take
how
it.
deep the nick or anything is. And then once that's dry, sand it with real fine grit sandpaper, and then wax it. And after it cures, it should all blend in. And you
Okay,
can't tell, and you repaired your cabinet.
so even if it's a year later and there's a nick in it or whatever it may be, if you have kids, for me, it's my dogs. You can always go back and you can fix it. You can grab that can of paint that you had that you originally painted it with.
Or stop by the store and get a small sample can.
Because you sell the small sample
And
cans.
the formula doesn't change.
Okay.
The colors don't change.
So that way the colors aren't going to change because the formulas stay consistent. You can take a very fine grit sandpaper. You can go over as far down as you know. It just depends what the blemish is, how deep the nick is. You can use a very small paintbrush, cover that up. You're going to wax it. If it's if it's something like this cabinet that hasn't been distressed yet, If it's something like this, you can just distress it. So really, you can fix any issues you
Right.
have with just a little, either a little more paint, a little more sanding, and a little more wax.
But I wish I had brought some dark wax, I forgot. But you can actually, I distressed this with the sandpaper. I could now take dark wax and write it right in these corners. And I darken this paint to give it more contrast. I still brought dark wax and I didn't.
So maybe next week when we do our demo next week, maybe we can hang on to this one here. Can we bring a little dark wax so we could show what the effect would be by doing that?
Well, I could repeat to do next week. I'll just do something.
Okay, so next week we'll try to aim to do something with the darker wax so you can see that.
Or white wax.
Or white wax.
Any colored wax.
And then you said there's a pearlescent wax as well
That's
now.
not wax. That's just glaze.
Oh, that's just a glaze.
Mhm.
Okay. I still want to do something with that.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, great. I really hope you guys enjoyed this demo today on how to do the kitchen cabinets. If you have any
Average
questions.
kitchen takes 5 or 6 cans of paint.
So 5 or 6 cans
Of paint.
for the average kitchen.
That's what we said.
Okay, because you're going to have to do, again, it's going to depend on how many coats you're doing, what your base is that you're starting with.
If you have an island or no island, if you
Alright.
go off. And then what a lot of people do is 2 times their kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
One color box, lowers, one color uppers.
Okay.
Well, uppers and lowers the same and the island different.
Okay. So it just
So-
depends on what
What
your
your
color
color
scheme is
scheme.
going to be. So you can, and then of course, let's say you didn't buy enough paint for the first, when you just give us a call, we'll deliver it to you.
Yep, I have a customer
Yeah.
keeps coming back.
All right, so that's great. That's great. Hopefully we'll see you guys Saturday at 4 o'clock for our live sale. If not, you can look for us again next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Hopefully it won't be raining. We're hoping that we'll get a dry day so we can do
Dry
one of these
day.
demos without the rain. But everyone stay safe and we'll see you guys soon.